I still remember the night everything changed, and it started with something so simple, so small that I almost ignored it. A single white shirt forgotten on the clothesline. It was just after sunset in our little village, somewhere far from the city lights, surrounded by banana trees and thick, whispering fields. The kind of place where people still lock their doors with a prayer, not just with a key. I was closing the windows when my mother called from the kitchen. "Don't forget the clothes outside. You know what happens cuando anoitecai." When the night falls, she never liked talking about it directly. No one ali gostava, no one there did. I stepped into the backyard, the air already pesado, heavy, like the sky was holding its breath. The insects were quieter than normal. Even the dogs on the road had stopped barking. I checked the bamboo pole and smiled, thinking I had finished in record time, until I saw it. One shirt, a single white shirt, hanging alone, moving devagar, slowly, in a wind that I couldn't feel on my skin. I almost left it there. Almost. But then I lembré da historia. I remembered the story. In our village, they say a woman who dies at childbirth, full of dor, pain, and reva, anger, sometimes refuses to rest. They say she comes back, drawn by the smell of fresh laundry and the warmth of human houses. She appears as a beautiful woman at first, with long black hair and a white dress, perfumada, sweet like flowers in the dark. But if you get too close, if you olar direito, look properly, you see the truth in her face and in the way she moves. That's when people realize it's not a woman. It's the thing we call by many names, but around here, susurrado, whispered, we call her Pontianak. They say she likes the smell of sabonette, of soap, the scent of fabric dried at night, because it means someone inside is still vivo, still alive. I swallowed, stepped forward, and reached for the white shirt. The cloth felt colder than it should, like it had been left in a freezer instead of in the soft, tropical night. While I pulled it from the line, I heard it for the first time. A sound distant, far away, like a baby crying no meio do mato in the middle of the fields. No one in our village had a newborn. I froze, the shirt in my hand, my heart beating tão alto, so loud that I almost couldn't hear the faint, broken crying. And then, above the banana trees, I smelled something doce, impossibly sweet, like flowers, mixed with something else that I couldn't name. That was the moment I realized I wasn't alone in the backyard. I stood there for what felt like hours, holding that cold white shirt in my hands, staring at the dark line of banana trees at the edge of our yard. The crying didn't stop. It didn't get louder either. It just moved, slowly, closer, like something that didn't need to rush because it already knew where I was. The smell got worse. At first it was only sweet, like overripe flowers left in the sun. Then it turned heavy, thick like metal and old rain. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, that the humid air was playing tricks on my nose, my ears, my mind. But deep inside, I knew better. You always know when something is wrong. Your body reacts before your brain accepts it. The bamboo leaves started moving, even though there was no wind. One by one, they trembled like thin bones rattling. I wanted to run back inside. I wanted to scream for my mother, but my legs felt rooted, like the dirt had grown hands and was holding onto my feet. Then I heard a step. Not a human step. Not a soft animal step. It was too light, too careful. Like someone walking who didn't need to touch the ground fully. I whispered, without thinking, "Go away." The crying stopped. For a second, everything went silent. No insects, no frogs, no distant motorbikes, nothing. Just my breathing and the slow, painful beat of my heart. And then I saw her. She was standing at the edge of the trees. At first, just a silhouette. Long hair falling down her back, white dress that didn't move, even though the leaves around her trembled. Her feet didn't seem to touch the soil. They hovered slightly above it, like she was being gently pulled upward by invisible strings. She was beautiful, too beautiful. That's how they trick you. her head tilted slowly to the side, the way someone looks when they're curious, when they're deciding something. Her lips moved, but no words came out, only the faint sound of wet breathing, like she had water in her lungs, like she had never stopped drowning. I wanted to throw the shirt away. I wanted to turn and run, but she lifted one hand, long and pale, and pointed at the fabric in my grip. Her finger was too long for a human hand. The joints bent in a way that made my stomach twist. She opened her mouth, and this time, a sound came out. Not words, not a scream. A soft, broken whisper that crawled through the air and entered my ears like cold worms. Yours. The word wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. It wasn't a request. It was a promise. I dropped the shirt. It fell to the ground between us, landing softly like a white flag. Her smile was the worst part, because it wasn't angry, it wasn't hungry, it was grateful. The moment the shirt touched the ground, the air changed. It felt heavier, like the night itself had leaned closer to watch what would happen next. I tried to step back, but my feet barely moved. My legs were shaking, weak like paper. She didn't walk, she glided. 1 second she was by the banana trees, and the next she was halfway across the yard. Her white dress floated around her legs, but I still couldn't see her feet. The closer she got, the colder the air became. I could see my own breath, even though the night was supposed to be warm and wet. Her face was perfect. Smooth skin, soft eyes, small nose, full lips. She looked like someone you'd meet in a dream, but her smile was wrong. It was too wide. It stretched further than it should, like the skin around her mouth wasn't meant to do that. Her eyes never blinked. Not once. I tried to speak, to call for help, but my throat locked. The only sound I managed to make was a weak breath. She stopped right in front of me, so close that I could smell her clearly now. Not flowers anymore, not sweetness. It smelled like old blood, like iron, like something that had been buried and dug up again. The kind of smell that sticks in your nose and follows you, even after you leave. She slowly crouched down and touched the shirt. Her fingers slid over the fabric like she was remembering something, like she recognized it, like it belonged to her. Then she looked up at me. Her eyes were black, not dark brown, not shadowed, black, like holes cut into her face. Her lips moved again, and this time she didn't whisper. She spoke clearly. Her voice was soft, almost gentle. "Do you live alone?" The question caught me wrong. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting her to talk like a normal person. I shook my head, very slowly. "My mother," I forced the words out. "My father, my little sister." She stared at me for a long time, and then she smiled more. "A warm house," she said. "A full house." She stood up, impossibly slowly, and leaned closer to my face. So close I could feel the cold coming from her skin. Her hand touched my chest. Her fingers pressed lightly, right over my heart. I felt her nails through my shirt, sharp, too sharp. "You brought me in," she whispered. "Now, I can smell them." My heart dropped. Behind me, I heard the door of our house make a soft sound, like someone inside had just shifted their weight, like someone was walking toward the kitchen window, like someone didn't know what was standing only a few steps away from the walls. Behind me, the floor inside the house creaked, just one slow, soft sound. But in the silence of that night, it felt as loud as a scream. She turned her head toward the sound before I did. Her neck twisted in a way it shouldn't have, bending too far, too smoothly, until she was looking past me, directly at the door. Her smile faded, and for the first time, something else appeared on her face. Hunger. Not the normal kind, not the kind you fix with food. It was deeper, older, like a thirst that had never been satisfied for hundreds of years. I stepped in front of her without thinking. I don't know why I did it. Maybe instinct, maybe love, maybe fear. But suddenly my body moved on its own. "Don't," I whispered. Her eyes slowly returned to me. "You brought me inside," she said softly. "That means I can knock." She raised her hand, pointing one long, pale finger toward the wooden door of my house. If someone opens it, I can enter. Inside, I heard my mother's voice, faint, tired. "Did you bring the clothes in?" she called. My whole body went rigid. I couldn't answer. My voice was gone, stolen by fear. The door handle moved slightly, just a small movement, barely noticeable, but I saw it. She saw it too. Her smile came back, wider than before, and this time I saw something behind her teeth. The teeth weren't human. They were thin, sharp, many, like rows of needles waiting to touch warm skin. Time slowed. The night stretched. The handle moved another inch. And that's when I realized, if that door opened, my family would smell like fresh meat to her. I breathed in, filling my chest with cold air. And I did the only thing I could think of. I screamed. Not a normal scream, not a scared scream. I screamed like an animal, a raw, wild sound that tore out of my throat and exploded into the yard. The kind of scream that carries panic, warning, and love all at the same time. Inside, the footsteps stopped. The handle stopped moving. My mother didn't answer. The house went quiet. Behind me, the thing that looked like a woman didn't laugh. She looked surprised. She lowered her hand slowly. Her eyes remained fixed on the door for a long moment. Then she leaned down toward my ear. Her breath was ice. "You protected them in this time," she whispered. "But you smell like fear now, and fear is easy to find." She straightened up and slowly stepped back, retreating toward the banana trees. But she didn't disappear. She just stood there, watching the house, watching the door, watching me, like she was memorizing the way home. She didn't vanish. That was the worst part. I watched her slowly move backward until the shadows of the banana trees swallowed her white dress. Even then, I could still feel her presence, like a cold fingerprint left on the air. The smell of rot and sweet flowers lingered long after her shape disappeared. I didn't go back inside right away. I just stood there, staring at the darkness, listening, waiting to hear if the crying baby would come back, waiting to hear if she would move again, waiting to feel those cold fingers on my chest. Nothing happened. Eventually, I picked up the shirt from the dirt. It felt normal again, warm, like it had never been touched, but I knew better. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound made me sit up in bed. Every small crack of the wood, every movement of the wind, every tree branch scraping against the roof felt like her nails dragging slowly across our house. Then I heard it. A soft knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just polite. 3 slow taps on the front door. Tap, tap, tap. My mother stirred in the next room. I held my breath. "Did you hear that?" she whispered from behind the wall. "Yes," I whispered back. Another knock, this time on the window. Soft, slow, careful. I looked toward the glass. The curtain moved slightly, even though the air in the room was still. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to know. But I did. Her face was right there, pressed so close to the glass that her nose was almost touching it. Her black eyes stared directly into mine. Her hair floated slightly, like it was underwater. And she was smiling. Her lips moved. The glass muffled her voice, but I could still understand. "Open." I shook my head, slowly. She tilted her head like she was amused, like she was patient. Sooner or later, someone will. She moved away from the window, disappearing into the dark again. After that night, things changed. Food started to rot faster in our house. My sister began waking up crying at strange hours, talking about a pretty lady standing in the corner of her room. My father said he felt someone standing behind him when he worked outside. And me? I started smelling flowers everywhere, even when no flowers were around, even in places that shouldn't smell sweet at all. It followed me. She followed me. And I understood something terrible. She didn't need permission anymore. She didn't need to be invited. She already knew where we lived. She already knew how we smelled. And now, she had time. Years have passed since that night. We moved, packed what we could, left the village, the banana trees, the yard, the clothesline. My parents thought distance would fix everything, that if we went far enough, whatever I saw or imagined would stay behind. But some things don't stay behind. Some things follow. The smell of flowers never really left me. Sometimes I feel it in crowded streets, sometimes inside empty rooms, and sometimes in my dreams. My sister grew up and stopped talking about the pretty lady, but she still hates sleeping in the dark. My mother still locks every door before sunset, still brings the clothes in before the sky turns orange. My father never stands with his back to the yard at night anymore. And me? I learned to listen to silence, because true silence doesn't belong to this world. A few months ago, I heard the crying again, not outside, not in the trees, but inside my apartment, in the middle of the city. A soft, distant baby crying from somewhere that didn't exist. The lights flickered. The air turned cold, and I smelled it. That same sweetness, that same sickly, rotten perfume of flowers mixed with death. Then I heard her voice, right behind my ear, soft, calm, familiar. "You smell different now, but I still remember you." I turned around. Nothing was there, no shape, no dress, no face, but on my mirror, something had appeared in the mist of my breath. A fingerprint, and scratched lightly into the fog. Soon. I don't tell my family. I don't tell anyone. Because what can I say? That a spirit who died in agony a long time ago still knows where I am? That she remembers the shirt, the yard, the fear? That she never actually left? So tonight, if you ever hear a baby crying where no baby exists, if you ever smell sweet flowers in a place that should only smell like dust, if you ever feel like someone is standing behind you when you're all alone, don't turn around too fast. She doesn't like to be ignored, and some doors don't need to be opened for something to come inside.